Hey, yo, what's up, guys? AB Sports here. I'm the B in AB Sports, and here's the A.
What's up, guys? It's Austin from AB Sports here.
Today, we're going to take a look at a what if story for the ages. And it hits really close to home with my Detroit Lions. It is not about the Detroit Lions, but instead a rival. And that rival is the Chicago Bears and how they effed up the 2017 NFL Draft. Well, we take a look at their 2017 NFL Draft right here. Their first round draft pick was Mitchell Trubisky, and we see how that turned out. Not very good. 2017 was it? 17. 17? 17. 2018? 17. Either way, they made the playoffs one of those years. Could you fact check me, Austin? I don't remember.
Yes, I can.
Either way, they could have taken Patrick Mahomes, but obviously they didn't. One of the biggest mistakes in history. 2017 draft was actually a crazy draft, but the Bears, they ruined themselves. You got the fact?
2018, lost to the Eagles in the wild card.
2018, that was the Cody Parkey doink doink. That was a great game to watch. We're gonna go down, and they made a huge trade. When was this, Austin? Was this in the off season or was this actually during like the season? The Buda Baker trade.
Let me see.
Either way, it was Buda Baker for Tyreek Cohen, which Buda Baker ended up being the 36th overall pick, which they could have took Alvin Kamara, Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, Kareem Hunt, Juju Smith-Schuster. They've
Day of the draft.
what was it? Sorry.
It was during the draft, the day of the draft.
Okay, it was actually during the draft that this happened. That is crazy. They also could have took Curtis Samuel, who dropped down to 40th to Carolina. They could have took Dalvin Cook with that 36th pick, but instead they got two fourths, one fourth being in the 2018 draft, and the other fourth being in this draft. And we'll talk about him in just a minute. But either way, just it was a pretty bad trade. Tariq Cohen, he had a very good 2018 year, but he's just an average running back, and he can't produce as much. Now we're gonna look at their second round pick, also their second round pick, their actual one that they traded for this one, the 45th overall pick. They drafted Adam Shaheen, tight end. I haven't even honestly heard of him really, other than a little bit. They did have Trey Burton, so I don't know. They didn't have Trey Burton back then. Who was their tight end back then, Austin? Who was their starting tight end?
I'm not sure back then. Let me look.
Mm-hmm. Well, either way, we're gonna get on to the fourth round pick really quick. We'll get the fact check in just a second when he's ready. The fourth round pick was Eddie Jackson. This is actually, in my opinion, a very good pick, at least for how he turned out.
Miller.
What?
Zach Miller.
Zach Miller. Okay.
Was not good for very long, I don't believe.
No, no, I don't even barely know who the heck that is anymore. I mean, that was only like, what, 2, 3 years ago, and I don't even remember who that guy is. Well, either way, the fourth round pick, Eddie Jackson, safety. They could have had George Kittle, which is a way better pick. They could have had, who else could they have had? That was the fourth round. They could have had. Wait, could they have had Jordan? Yeah, they could have. Oh yeah, because their fifth round pick, they took Jordan Morgan guard, and that was right after George Kittle. So yeah, they could have took George Kittle. They could have took. They could have took Josh Reynolds, out of Los Angeles. And I mean, either way, that Eddie Jackson pick was a great pick. It is a great pick for their future, and I mean, could did anybody even like could have anyone even predicted that George Kittle would have been George Kittle? I don't think they could have. And then, of course, we're going to wrap up with the 5th round pick, and that is Jordan Morgan, of course. I just talked about him. Could have had DeMonte Casey, Desmond King. They could have took a nice kicker. Obviously, they needed a kicker. They could have took, where was he? He was right there. Jake Elliott. They could
Aaron
have.
Jones.
What?
Aaron Jones, Matt Milano.
They could have took Aaron Jones, Matt Milano. They could have took Harrison Buckner. They could have. They could have took a lot of these great players instead of Jordan Morgan, a guard who I think I've heard of him, but that's probably just because I watch the Lions and Bears a lot because they play 2 times a year and it just happens. Well, either way, so the whole what if part of all this kind of comes in. What if they would have drafted Patrick Mahomes? Would they have had the Patrick Mahomes offense? Of course not. They wouldn't. They would have had. Would they even get Matt Nagy? When did Matt Nagy come in? Matt Nagy didn't come in until a little bit later. I don't think that was before 2017 though, because it was 2018, right? It was his first year, right, Austin?
Yep, 2018.
2018 was his first year, so this is not even Matt Nagy yet. They didn't get Matt Nagy until their second year. This is maybe John Fox. I don't even remember. This was a long time ago. Seems like. What?
Yeah, it was John Fox.
Yep.
That's not that long ago, really.
Right? It just feels like a long time ago. My bad. But either way, the whole, of course, what if of this is, what if the Bears did draft Mitchell Trubisky? What if they had Alvin Kamara? Imagine that offense. Mitchell Trubisky, Alvin Kamara, maybe Cooper Kupp even. Chris Godwin. They could have had Kareem Hunt. I mean, maybe in this alternate timeline he doesn't kick a woman. They could have had Juju Smith-Schuster, who is a very solid wide receiver, of course. And then they could also have George Kittle.
That could almost be an understatement, the way you said that.
What?
That could almost be an understatement about Juju.
Exactly. Juju, Chris Godwin, and Cooper Kupp are all 3 very good receivers. Obviously, I think Juju is the better receiver of the 3. Maybe. Well, he hasn't had. He didn't have Big Ben last year.
I think he's arguably top 10, top 15.
Yeah.
In the league.
Yep. I mean, probably. Maybe that's a future video. Maybe we rank. Maybe we do that. Put that in the comments section down below. What do you guys want us to do? We could rank tight ends. Nobody wants to see that, but we could.
Well, I know. Offensive linemen.
Offensive linemen. We could rank all-time offensive linemen or all offensive linemen right now. Put that in the comment section down below, and we'll do it.
Linemen.
What'd you say?
You could rank all backup defensive linemen.
Yes, we could rank. Yes, absolutely. Anyways, basically the scenario is, obviously with that 5th round pick, they would have took a better kicker, and maybe they win that Eagles game. Imagine if they did win that Eagles game, because then the Eagles moved on to take on the Saints. Yes, because then the Saints. What if that's the Bears and Saints? The Bears arguably have a better offense in that year than the Saints' defense is power, if you know what I mean. Because that was 2018 that happened, that the Cody Parkey doink doink happened. So that was the Saints year that they got screwed over by the no call. And I think the Bears would have beat, because the Bears that year, so Bears, okay, I just put in Bears 2018. I mean, they beat the Chiefs that year. The Chiefs ended up going on to the AFC Championship.
They lost in overtime.
Imagine that. Like, wait, they lost in overtime. Oh yeah, the Chiefs, right? What?
Chiefs lost in overtime to the Patriots.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't understand. But yeah, the Bears, honestly, like, I'm looking back at their 2018 schedule, and they lost some just awful games. They lost to the Giants by 3 in overtime. They lost to Who they lose to? Who else did I just see that was a pretty bad loss? Why is this never
Lost to
working?
the Packers by 1.
Lost to the Packers by 1.
Lost to the Dolphins in overtime.
Lost to the Dolphins in overtime. Lost to the Ravens by 1 in preseason. Oops.
And their other loss was to the Super Bowl winning Patriots.
Yeah. And then obviously their big Cody Parkey loss.
And all of their losses were were 1-score loss. They were all close games.
That's possibly offensive fault. What if Patrick Mahomes were in those games? What if Patrick Mahomes was in those scenarios? Against the Giants, against the Patriots, against the Eagles.
You can see a potential undefeated season right here.
Honestly, it looks like it. What'd they go 11-5?
12-4.
12-4. Yeah, those 4 losses.
Games were 1 score.
Every single game was 1 score.
2 of them were overtime. 1 of them was 1 point.
That is absolutely insane.
It is.
I mean, then you got to look at the fact that Mitchell Trubisky did produce this year. He did produce some, but 2019 he just had an awful year. So 2018, Trubisky stats, and
2018 he threw for 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns.
only 3,200 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good, but it's not like great. It's not like Patrick Mahomes that year. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes freaking breaking 50 touchdowns.
Third quarterback to do so.
Exactly. I mean, the fact that they didn't take Patrick Mahomes in general is just crazy. So with all this, with all these answers on the what if, obviously we can't tell for sure what would happen. We can't rewrite history. I wish we could. That would be pretty cool. I'd definitely invent Apple and crap like that. But either way, we can't invent history. Obviously, the Bears would have probably did better.
They could have had a dynasty going right now.
They could have had a dynasty. The Chicago Bears. What even is that? Like, honestly, the Bears.
They're a huge disappointment these days. Imagine what they could have been.
They could have been great. And you guys can be great too. If you go down to the bottom and hit that big red button and subscribe. Thank you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.